You want to know what's funny? I looked up uh top 10 pitchers of all time within the MLB. Cy Young is not number one. It's someone way
Yeah.
older.
Someone older than Cy Young. Ty Cobb? No, Ty Cobb's younger than Cy.
Um, he was a New York player. I don't specifically remember.
I don't know why I was about to say CC Sabathia.
Sabathia.
You are watching a master.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to our podcast today. Great to have everyone here. Chris, how was your week?
It's been pretty good. Some things kind of suck with seeing more games in the NCAA being canceled. We have two SEC games. One pretty big one. LSU Alabama got postponed due to an outbreak in the Tigers' locker room or Tigers' facilities. Then we also see Texas A&M versus Tennessee also got postponed. That was just in the SEC. We've been talking about that there may be other games in the NCAA that may be canceled, including a Pac-12 team, Cal Berkeley. Earlier this week, though, we have some bright news that could fix the NFL's possibility of postponing or canceling games in the future, with all the league owners agreeing to expand the playoffs if necessary from a 14-team, which was this year, to a 16-team playoff. So bumping up a couple more teams into it to account for those missed games. Then we also have some news of award ceremony this week for the MLB. We saw Shane Bieber get a unanimous Cy Young, and Trevor Bauer also winning Cy Young. Several other people awards. We have also Rookie of the Year, which was Devin Williams of the Brewers in the National League. First actual relief pitcher to get that award that did not account for a save. So that was a history maker. And then Kyle Lewis of the Mariners. Kevin Cash and Dom Anthony both won Manager of the Year in their respective divisions. And tonight we actually will find out who is the MVP. Guess my soccer news was deleted. We have some news for the Super Bowl. The Grammy Award winner, The Weeknd, will be performing the Super Bowl halftime show.
Weird, but with what crowd?
The NFL is looking into, because Buccaneers are hosting a storm of fans. They're thinking of right now, if the Super Bowl was this weekend, they're looking at 25% capacity. And plus, most of the content is for the online viewerships, or the TV viewerships.
That's true.
What I said, I lost out on my soccer news. It deleted.
It's okay. Some great points you brought out from this week. Not really sure how I feel about a halftime show. I mean, even though it's on for the online or the streaming watchers, it's kind of weird just having no one there to kind of watch the show,
Yeah,
the actual game.
because like you also think about like no one's watching it, but you also think about how many people are like. I'm thinking of previous Super Bowls, how the halftime they bring in a bunch of dancers and stuff onto the field.
Yeah.
You can't really do that this year. Like you bring like a handful, like having everyone separate. But
hmm Well, you brought it up within your news update like you do every week. We have some week 11 or week 10, week 10, right, for NCAA.
for NCAA, give me 2 seconds, but go on. I'll let you know in about
So
15 seconds.
So between week 10 and week 11, we have some games that I thought were very interesting and throughout the entire NCAA football schedule. You mentioned Bama and LSU is postponed, so we can't really, talk about that or predict what the outcome would be there. But the first game that I wanted to talk about was Miami versus Virginia Tech. Like, what are your thoughts in there, and like, how do you think both those teams will perform?
Okay, the U versus Virginia Tech. I haven't really seen too much of Virginia Tech. I've not even seen any highlights. I've seen a few games from the U. They look relatively good. It looks like they kind of died down a little bit over the past couple of weeks. Um, I don't know if that's true, but I feel like they've kind of like had this big hype and everything. Like they thought they were back, and they just kind of flattened out. I want to say,
They always kind of do. I mean, that's kind of the Miami way.
yeah, like they're still 6-1. Miami is right now currently ranked 9, but it's only a -2, like a 2 point difference. It actually went down in the since they opened, which was a plus 2.5. So it's almost like a flip 'em. If we're looking at it, Virginia Tech on the year is 4-3.
Who's favored? Is it Miami?
Miami is favored by 2 points right now.
And underdog is Virginia.
Yes.
It's kind of foreseeable. Uh,
Yeah.
I've been watching like a little bit of highlights of Miami. I mean, they look good this year. Like they really do. Um, they really they probably will take over the ACC along with Clemson. ACC, right? Yeah, ACC
Yeah.
alongside with Clemson.
Well, I also think Notre Dame's also in ACC this year.
That's true too. So those three teams are going to be in contention. Um, plus, they just gravitated to the number 2 spot after they beat Clemson this past weekend. But Trevor Lawrence will be back this weekend, right?
I have not heard any news that he's going to be out, so I want to believe that he'll be back leading charge for the clubhouse.
hmm So, I mean, Miami versus Virginia, I'm going to give it to Miami more so just of their performance in the last 5 games. Um, with even that one loss deficit within their win loss category, I mean, you got to give it to the U uh, whenever they're playing someone in the division because they're such a powerhouse. Number two, the
So,
two matchup would be. Do you have something to say about that, or
I was going to say, yeah, we're going to bring up the number 2 matchup. Number 10, Indiana versus
Michigan State?
Michigan State University. That's actually kind of a bigger thing I have on my phone right now, like the spreads, courtesy of Bleacher Report, non-sponsored. Just gotta let the people know that
So,
Bleacher Report, if you're looking, we'll love to be have you as our official app of this pod.
hmm we would
But what's that?
we would definitely do an ad sponsor like right after this segment. But Bleach Report, if you are watching, please sponsor. Go ahead with Indiana, Michigan State.
Yeah, right now Indiana is right now favored by 7 points. It did go down a little bit. It opened up at 8.5 points.
Mm.
Uh, wait, minus is good. Oh
Minus
wait,
minus is underdog
minus
favorite.
underdog.
Yeah.
That means Michigan State's favorite.
Wait, is Indiana +7? Or
Indiana's -7 right now.
they're underdog, and then Michigan State is +7 for. Oh
Plus
wow,
7.
wow. I mean, I could understand that. I mean, Michigan State has always been a good program football wise, but I haven't really been obviously not been paying attention to.
Now, well, Michigan State on the year is 1-2. I think the one win is against Michigan in their regular state rivalry.
Mhm.
Indiana's right now 3-0, and as I said, they're ranked 10 right now. But we know rankings kind of suck right now with all the teams that have missed games or
Yeah.
just stopped playing.
Mhm. Like just imagine like I mean I haven't been paying attention to Big Ten obviously, been paying attention to Pac-12 because we work there. But imagine just Ohio State losing one game. Now how much that could just change the tide for them, not being in
Oh
the
yes, that'll be
championship anymore.
big.
hmm And it kind of just proves us right that they shouldn't have been in there in the first place. But for this game between Indiana and MSU, I'm gonna have to go with Indiana.
Yeah, I don't know why they're underdogs right now and a big margin.
Like by a 14-point spread, it's like how are you not gonna favor Indiana being 3-0 and Michigan State being 1-2? Like
I'm gonna look into that, see which one is.
actually supposed to be favored.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, number 3 matchup is between University of Georgia and Mizzou or Missouri Tigers. Um, been watching a little bit of highlights for this game. I watched the game against Florida last week, I want to say, and their wide receiver went down with an early ankle injury. They were up 2 and then they ended up losing the game. Um, they look pretty good. Let me look up some stats as well. But I would say I would have to go with Georgia mostly because of the or the higher seed SEC presence against Missouri. Um, yeah, let me look up some highlights real quick. Not highlights, but stats. What am I looking at? ESPN? Sure, why not? So I'm going to ESPN.com right now, looking for this Georgia game. Where the hell? Come on, come on. Tiger Woods is back, just so everyone knows. Well, back and behind of his placing. That is really what I should say. Where's this game? Where's this game? Where's this game? It's like super early. That's why I got it. Indiana. No. Where is you? Is you on Thursday? No. Indiana. Where are they? I cannot find them. Is you? No? No one? No one here? Hello?
Oh, you're talking to me.
No, not you. Not you.
Okay. I actually found something I've been reading on this like little website, Vegas.com. And they're talking about how to figure out a plus minus. Minus is the team that's favored. So in that earlier game, we talked about Miami. They were actually not favored in that game. They were +2.
So Miami was +2.
Yeah. Virginia Tech was -2.
But +2 does mean they're like the favored ones though. Minus is underdog, I thought.
Mm,
Or is
I'm
that
gonna keep
wrong?
reading. I'm gonna
Okay.
keep reading.
Well, another update, Georgia and Missouri has also been postponed as well, which is why I couldn't find them on the regular schedule. So of the amount of postponements / cancel games, Alabama and LSU have been postponed. Um, Ohio State and Maryland game has been canceled. Texas A&M versus Tennessee postponed. Georgia versus Missouri postponed. Auburn versus Mississippi State postponed. Memphis versus Navy postponed. Air Force versus Wyoming canceled. And then University UL Monroe versus Arkansas State is postponed. What the hell is UL Monroe? They are 0-8 in the Sun Belt Division West. So they are a part of Arizona, I want to say. No, what is? Oh, Louisiana Monroe. That makes a lot more sense. They played Army, 37-7 loss. Texas State, UTEP, GASO. Do not know how to pronounce that. Liberty, um, USA, Appalachian, GAST, Georgia State. I want to say. Um, then this is Georgia Southern. GASO is Georgia Southern. Then they played postponement of Arkansas State. So those are the different games that Louisiana Monroe has played. But of the
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that have been postponed / canceled, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are from the major Big Five conferences.
Would that count because they've been playing longer?
Well,
Oh,
you
no, you said Big Five conference. I thought you were talking about like the two conferences that have been playing the longest, ACC and SEC.
Big Ten, SEC, and Big Ten and SEC. Those are the only two conferences. Oh, and Big 12. Sorry. Kind of want to talk about this a little bit more. They talk.
Before we move on, though, I did look into another website, thelines.com, and they say the favorite in a game is listed as the minus the point spread. The underdog is in a game is listed as being plus the point spread. So I'm going to give them an example. So San Francisco, New Orleans game coming up this Sunday, they have New Orleans at -9.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense now. Like minus is the favorite because if you saying the positive is +9, San Francisco's no favorite for that game.
No. I kind of want to talk about this a little bit more. Ohio
Yeah.
State Buckeyes versus Maryland Terrapins. That game has been canceled altogether, whether it's from most likely from COVID. But where do you think this puts a stint in the Ohio State's regimen going for a national championship title? Because obviously they couldn't play this game, so all the other teams are going to be advancing their records. So where do you think this puts a fork in the road, or does it just give them another week to prepare for the next week's game?
This is big on the actual college committee. For the AP pools, we're not gonna see much of a difference between them, as we saw Wisconsin missed 2 straight weeks with COVID, and they moved from like a top, I think 5 to
Like still top 10,
10. Well, I think they're 11 now this week.
top
If
20,
my
or top 15.
phone will let me look at the scores.
I can talk. I can look it up. Talk.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say it's probably gonna affect them in the long run if they have another week. Because it does take away a game of their being played because the Big Ten is it's not postponing any of these games or full on canceling these games as we saw with Wisconsin the last couple of weeks. I also think that Pac-12 is also canceling games if they miss out on games. So it's going to put a big wrench into their plans to make it into the playoffs.
Mhm.
We don't know if the playoff committee is going to expand it to a six-team playoff picture this year because of all which is happening. Only time will tell on that. But it does put a big wrench into the road of going and competing national champion. If you only have like 2 wins on your record,
Yeah.
it doesn't really is kind of inferior for a club that had, let's say, a 7-1 record.
Mhm.
Just because you're Ohio State, like you have the name, you're a top team coming into the season. You're a top team the
Mhm.
season before, but because you didn't play,
Mhm.
it kind of doesn't make sense. It's like saying like, oh, let's say the Big Ten didn't play at all this year,
Mhm.
but we're gonna put Ohio State in the playoffs anyway because we just know they're a good team.
Mhm. I kind of wanted to bring this. You mentioned the 16-team bracket, or not bracket, but 16-team schedule for championships. Kind of copying the model for March Madness, just a one game and then you move on. Would you want to see a bracket style playoff system, or do you think that would be a little bit more complicated than it should be? Especially for this year. I mean, you have like some teams that aren't in the Big Five conferences, such as Cincinnati. Uh, I think this is Louisiana, not Louisiana State. And then you have
Yes,
SMU, Coastal Carolina. You have like a couple of teams that you know aren't in the Big Five conferences. Would you want to see like a bracket style, or obviously would that make it too complicated?
it would make it way too complicated. It's an easy thought like we just copy like March Madness does like one game play, but just to take into consider football is also they only play once a week like these players do. So then it's going to take like a couple of months for a bracket. Even if you just push it to like let's say 10 teams, that's still a lot of teams that have to be played. You could do 5 games, 4 game, no 5 games.
One would have to have a bye.
Yeah, 2 games. It'll take like 2 to 3 weeks of playing. Like I know they have one day for the championship games between the two, like 1 and 4, 2 and 3, and then they have the big old national championship like a couple weeks later.
Yep.
But it's kind of tough when you add more teams to it. Then you have to figure out okay who's facing who. Then you have to find locations, all this stuff. Football is not the easiest thing to do a bracket. If we look into the playoffs for the NFL, that takes about a month and a half of playoff games.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a lot more challenging to think of a bracket and how much more time you have to put on these players.
Hmm.
All this other financial burdens that the NCAA and each conference has to think about.
Yep. No. I was just thinking about it because I mean, if you just have all 16 teams from this year, it would take time. Like I agree with that. Like between the 1 and the 8 seed, or between the first round, it would take 1 week. Second round, it would take like a total of a month if we're putting into that retrospect. And then you would have to set the. I mean, already the site is already chosen during like
Yep.
before the year. So I mean, if the NCAA could plan it that way and like make sure that everything was within a month, then maybe it could work. But it's a little bit more complicated than just copying a system of your other teams. I agree with that. To kind of so Wisconsin is number 13, just so you
Yeah.
a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So
With
there's
only one win.
with only one will. Well, just like Oregon. I mean, Oregon's number 11, and then they only have one win. USC is 20th and with one win, and those are the only three teams with only one wins.
That I was still in the AP. Like this is really stupid. Like we always talk about it every time we bring in like predictions or just talking about the top 25. Um,
Very stupid.
yeah, I really hope the college committee that decides the actual rankings that should be coming out within the next couple of weeks, I believe. Um, should really take into consider how many games some of these teams have played.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hope they would. I hope they would fairly do that because I mean, Ohio State at 3-0 with what 3 weeks underneath their belt and only one cancellation game. Yeah,
Yeah,
what?
if it's all like blowout games, I could see them playing high, but you have to really take a deep look into these teams. You can't just do it by an eye, just a quick eyeball check.
So let's move on to number 4 is USC versus Arizona. Pretty easy. Who do you think is going to come out there?
I'm probably gonna go with USC. USC looks pretty dominant in their first game last week.
Hmm. Before
Uh,
come back down 2 touchdowns. I mean, yeah, they do look
yeah,
very.
they did had to come back. They're right now favored 14 points against Arizona. This is gonna be Arizona's.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
reacting to that. The
14 points. Yeah, it's a big thing. They actually opened up at 13 and a half, so it's actually moved up more than it started. This is gonna be Arizona's first actual game this week,
Mhm,
so we might see a little rest in them.
mhm.
But USC is gonna be looking good. At least the numbers that I'm looking into right now.
Do you think
Uh,
they could compete against Oregon for the Pac-12 championship this year?
they could if they did have that like break out with that breakdown against the Sun Devils.
Mhm,
Only winning by 1 point, having to come back 2 scores at the in the fourth quarter, at the end of the game, practically.
mhm.
So it does take a little bit in time to look to see if they're a dominant team to really compete.
Yeah,
This week is probably not the best test as they're favored by like 2 scores practically.
yeah,
But probably give me a couple more weeks
yeah.
of seeing them play, and then I think that would be the best opportunity to tell you like if they're a team to actually compete.
Mhm. So the next game, we obviously said that this game is already postponed, but with no bias here. Obviously, you're an LSU fan. Bama versus LSU. What would have been the outcome if they actually played this weekend?
You really want me to say what the previous point spread was?
Is it like 20s? Oh my god!
28.
Holy shit!
It opened up at 23 and a half.
No, no,
Uh,
no hope for the former.
no, let's just move on. It's
Okay.
Alabama wins easily. They have a true freshman signed as quarterback with junior quarterback Miles. Brennan out for the season with a abdominal issue.
That always sucks. I hate abdominal pains or whatever like his injury is. Last one is COVID Central, Wisconsin versus Michigan in the Big Ten. Um, considering that this doesn't get postponed in the next 2 days, who do you think is going to be the victor in this matchup?
You know what? Michigan's had a hard couple of weeks,
Mm,
but they're a top-rated team. I want to say they pull it out and get a victory over Wisconsin. They've been out for 2 weeks. They haven't really practiced over those 2 weeks as much as they probably wanted to. So I'm actually going to give it to Wisconsin and Michigan. Right now, Wisconsin is favored 4.5.
mhm,
It has moved up since opening, which was a 1.5 opening.
mhm.
But I think there's going to be a pretty decent upset right there.
Yeah,
Going to be a really good game.
I agree. Um, I don't know. I don't think Harbaugh's taking him in the direction that Michigan wants to go into. So I think I'm going to give it to Wisconsin. Um,
Let's say if Michigan doesn't succeed this year, do you think they'll let go of Harbaugh? He's been in that program for
I've seen
roughly 6 years, 6 weeks, 6 years.
well, since what the last year before he ended his contract with the 49ers. So I think about
Yeah, that was 2014, so he started 2015. Let me take a look really quickly.
I think 2015, but I've been seeing some articles, some funny articles, and it's like if Harbaugh doesn't win this week, chalk him up with the Jets and have the Jets sign him, and I'm like that's funny because he's not winning as much games as he used to with other Michigan teams. But yeah, I think this year in particular, I'm with them starting late, COVID being a factor. Maybe let him coach one more year, and if the 2022 season doesn't pan out, then maybe look for a new quarterback in Michigan. Not entirely sure what direction they want to go into, uh, coaching staff wise and player depth chart wise. But I say give Harbaugh one more shot before letting him go.
Yeah, he started in 2015. Yeah, he doesn't look the same as he was the head coach of Stanford, being dominant in those few years. Um,
Imagine he goes.
right now, his college record. What?
Imagine he comes back and assistant coach for Coach Shaw.
After Coach Shah was his assistant.
Exactly.
Well, his college record is very good at 103 wins to 40 losses.
To 40.
To 40 losses, yeah.
Oh, not bad.
But his postseason record, at least in college, has not been relatively good. So he's not won too many bowl games as well.
I bet.
Having only 2 wins and 5 losses over there.
Sheesh.
His
Over like
postseason
yeah, over
over like the all the years of him coaching at Stanford and Michigan.
yeah. I mean, from 200% in the right, over twice the winning percent in the regular season to only about 40% in the postseason. I mean, that kind of shows just how much
His
you're doing.
regular season winning percentage is about 72%, while his postseason is 28.6%.
Not bad. Not bad.
Overall, he's 69.3%.
What a fun number to have. Um, sorry, we're kids. So let's move on to the NFL. Let's talk about the Dolphins. Let's talk about how the Dolphins could take full advantage of Tua being the star quarterback and the star player within the Dolphins organization for a couple of years. I was reading on the article that I brought this from. They're trying to make him the centerpiece for everything, like how I don't know what other teams have just one player they kind of harp on, like
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, probably Russ at the Seahawks.
Russ. Yeah, Tom Brady when he was
Brady with.
in New England.
Mhm. Um, would you say Drew Brees or no? I don't know if I would put him in that
I
category.
don't know. A few years ago, maybe, but like relatively now, it's been Alvin Egan, not Alvin, Alvin Kamara. I was
Kamara
mixing like,
and Michael Thomas.
because
Then
yeah,
yeah, then definitely Pat. No, not Pat Mahomes. That's a whole team organization kind of thing.
no, they had Travis Kelsey. This is before Pat Mahomes even started. They had Travis Kelsey out there. They had
Alex Smith.
uh, Alex Smith, LaShawn McCoy came this year. What was that running back beforehand?
Not entirely.
Uh, Cream Hunt.
Oh, Kareem Hunt,
Um, and they just added other pieces to that roster with the Cheetah, Tyreek Hill,
Tyreek, Le'Veon Bell, obviously Pat Mahomes.
Clyde Edwards Elaire.
So for obviously we're sports management um, students. So how do you think the Dolphins could wisely market to well wisely market to promote in order to promote both the Dolphins and their new starting quarterback?
It's easy, win games. No. There's a bunch of different ways you can market to in that area. Well, first off, he's a first round pick, so everyone knows what that means. It means he's a top rated player. He's the quarterback of that team. Giving other him marketing ways is establishing him as the front and centerpiece, so putting him on poster boards around the stadium, uh, making sure his jersey is always there in stock on in team lockers, team stores.
Source, yep.
Um, always have Tua featured in a bunch of articles on the team website, pictures through social media.
hmm
Even social media takeovers by him could really improve his likability in that Miami crowd. Um, but we really see he's a pretty big name since his days in Alabama, winning a national championship over there with them. So the casual football fan does know who he is. And I believe that the Miami fans out there do know who he is because of his high draft stock and them looking for a quarterback since the departure of Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, I mean there's a bunch of ways you can do it. You can put him in television promos. You can put a bobblehead on him. You can give promotional away. Obviously, jerseys is always one source of revenue, but with how expensive it is, you can always work with other companies in order to kind of promote your quarterback as well. Um, I don't know. I think the other thing is how, like, when do you think his prime would be? Is it in 3 years? Unstatistically, when do you think his prime would be?
Let's see. He's what, 23?
He is 20, between 21 and 22. He's a year younger than me.
Oh,
Yeah,
this guy's young.
yeah, he's young, young.
I want to say he probably hits his prime in 2 years' time. So year 3 is probably when he gets fully settled in the league. Is one of the top rated, if he does able to go down this path, one of the top rated quarterbacks out there. I'm not gonna say like a top 5 quarterback, but easily top 15, top 10.
hmm With the quarterbacks
Uh,
being like, let's just say Tom Brady leaves in like 3 years or 4 years, and then also Drew Brees, Philip Rivers. Um, let's just say Russ leaves. Let's just say that.
Russ, wow.
I'm okay, fine. Not Russ. A Rod's not gonna leave. So you have like three.
Okay, so let's see some of the top rated quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes,
Pat, yeah,
Aaron Rodgers,
Aaron,
Lamar Jackson,
yeah,
Russell Wilson,
Wilson, Deshaun Watson,
Sean Watson,
Goff,
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray, Goff.
Goff is a mid-range quarterback, I'd say.
Wow,
I think Tua will be better than him.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr, top mid-range quarterback.
Mhm. Who's the Bears quarterback? Foles.
Nick Foles,
No.
good quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be lasting that long.
Oh, Tom Brady.
Uh, let's see who else. Carson Wentz, he had MVP calibers a few years ago, but has fallen
Mhm.
off that. Who knows with Jordan Love?
Yeah.
Joe Burrow has been looking promising over there. Justin Herbert has really looked good in LA.
With a 2-6 record though.
But
What
look
the
how many games that have been lost in a one score games.
That's right. Isn't his like
Yeah,
start what like 3 weeks ago?
yeah.
So
Uh,
technically he's what like 2 and
1 and
one
2,
or 1 and 2?
something like that.
So
But he's been looking promising. High completion numbers,
mhm.
high yardage,
drafted
pretty
before
high touchdowns. Um,
drafted before Tua.
drafted before Tua,
So that's definitely going to be a rivalry. I mean, number 5 pick and what number 2 pick.
number 4. Give me a second. I'm gonna check the draft class.
So that's going to be a rivalry right there as well as like does Tua have that big of a chip on his shoulder to outdo the only quarterback that was drafted before him? Um,
Joe Burrow.
you think he's going to be rivaling against Joe Burrow with
He
that
said the
bank?
only other quarterback that
Fine,
had
fine.
been drafted in front of him.
I think I
Why
like
did he read
Herbert.
basketball?
I like the Herbert versus Tua narrative more than the Joe Burrow versus Tua narrative, only because um, how close it was in between those two picks in comparison to obviously Joe Burrow was going to be number one. There was no doubt.
Tua was drafted before
Really?
Justin Herbert. So I'm gonna give you the up until Justin Herbert at 6. So Joe Burrow at 1 with Cincinnati, Chase Young with Washington at 2, Jeff Okuda with the Detroit Lions at 3, Andrew Thomas uh, drafted by the New York Giants at 4, Tua Tagovailoa 5 with Miami, then Justin Herbert at 6 with the Chargers.
I thought they moved up. I thought the Chargers moved up.
No, the Chargers stayed. They did not trade.
Well, we kind of already see that Tua does. I mean, given Joe Burrow has started since the beginning of this year, to say in comparison to Tua, he started 3 weeks ago. So
Mm-hmm.
again, I still like the narrative between Herbert and Tua more than um, Joe and Tua. The reason being,
Yeah.
Joe has started more, and it hasn't been pretty for him. But Tua just started 3 weeks ago, and so did Justin, and they're both flourishing. So I think that could be a way that they could market him as well. Just how he's different from the other quarterbacks that were drafted around in the top 10. I'm just going to say top 10 instead of top 5. Um,
Yeah.
how do you think front office and coaches could build around him? Like, who do you like? obviously from the draft they could find different guys from Alabama, from the SEC, and from other um, teams that he's played with players as well. But currently now, like with who's coming up in free agency that's going to be free this coming summer.
Give me 1 second to see NFL. But I don't even think that they should target people that he has played with. Looking in the NFL, you always have different players coming in and stuff. You didn't see what was the team? Kansas City draft a bunch of people from Texas Tech when Patrick Mahomes was drafted.
Yeah.
You don't see players really doing that too often.
Yeah.
It's just to see 20. Oh, this is 2021.
Yeah.
Some big names out there: Dak Prescott,
Philip
Rivers,
AJ Green. Ooh.
AJ Green, Von Miller,
I'm just looking.
Melvin Ingram. Wait, no, Melvin Ingram shouldn't. I thought he signed a contract extension.
Melvin Ingram, LA Chargers. I don't think he. I'm not sure.
Because when we watched Hard Knocks, I thought he sat out until he got an extension.
I think he sat out, but I think he only got like a 1-year deal. I don't remember.
Okay, T.Y. Hilton.
I'm just looking at offensive weapons.
Trent Williams, Russell Okung. I'm also looking at like tackles and stuff because that could really boost some of these defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
Really protect that quarterback against the defensive line. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sammy Watkins.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, he's not leaving Arizona.
No, some of these players are not going to leave the team.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting player.
Rashad Perriman, New York.
Kenny Stills comes back to Miami.
Willie Snead, Baltimore. Nope. But let's just say there is. Oh, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Oh yeah.
Those are a lot of names, but we also have to take in consideration the franchise tag.
Okay, hear me out. Hear me out.
Okay, go ahead.
Todd Gurley.
You want to say a 1-year deal?
He has only a 5.5 in his deal in Atlanta right now. He's like he's by like Tyrod Taylor and Ryan Fitzpatrick. That would give Tua so much room as well as
Yeah, Todd Gurley would be a really good piece in Miami. And he's having a pretty good year with Atlanta. So we could also see him sign
Max or something with
sign back.
Yeah.
Some key players that are coming in the draft. I think there's a couple of people from the Big Ten. Is it the Big Ten? Or I think ACC has some good wide receivers that are coming into the draft.
Oh, definitely.
We also see Miami could pick up LSU's right receiver Jamal Chase.
Jamal Chase.
With the Houston pick that's in the top 5 right now.
There's so much things that they could do this offseason. It's kind of scary, but some of the players that are on free agency, like there's no way that they're gonna leave. Like especially those in Baltimore and Kansas City, they're not leaving. That's one.
Yeah, then you also have to think about franchise tag, other teams that have money that we're willing to spend.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to some predictions. So tonight's game is not being played, but soon. So we got Colts and Titans tonight. That's actually probably a really good Thursday night matchup.
It's like an evenly matched game.
Yeah.
To say the least. I think I'm giving it to the Titans.
I actually have to agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think Philip Rivers, he's been stagnant and their record has been dropping in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So
right now, the over-under is favoring the Colts by 1. But that's pretty much a toss-up game. It's a coin flip game practically. So I do see the Titans going out. So some key injuries on both sides. For Indy, they are out 2 of the tight ends. Doyle and Ali Cox are both. Well, Doyle is confirmed out. Ali Cox is right now questionable for the game. Then over on Tennessee, they also lost a few players too. Alan Humphreys is out with a concussion.
Damn.
the tight end Pruitt is out with a knee injury, and the safety. God, this is a tough name. Korshank. I want to say I got that correct. Is out also tonight.
So
Uh,
a lot of people out for the Colts. You said.
a lot of people. The three names I just listed were Titans players. Coming into the season, Titans are 6-2 with Indy 4-5-3.
Mhm.
Right now, Titans are on a 1-game win streak, and Indy is on a losing streak of just one. Right now, with Titans being at home, though, right now current record is 4-1 at home with the Colts 2-2 on the road.
Sheesh. It's not looking good for the Colts at this point. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So Titans all the way for me. You say Titans as well?
yeah. Like the only thing I could see them doing better is if the Indianapolis defense really locks down
Oh yeah.
on the Titans
Yep.
and bottle up Derrick Henry.
Ooh, you're gonna have a hard time bottling him up.
We've seen it done before the season with the Steelers,
Oh, that's true. That's true.
so it's not impossible, but it's a tough challenge for Indianapolis.
hmm hmm So the next matchup is, I mean,
Is this why we had a sketch between the two quarterbacks?
yeah, kind of. Um, is the Chargers versus the Dolphins. Both two young starting quarterbacks. Um, I don't know. It's hard to say like who's gonna get the better of who. I think it really comes down
Yeah.
to defense on this game, not really so offense. Um, I don't know, Chris. Who do you think you're picking?
Hmm. I don't know. I'm really looking deep into the stats right now, trying to figure out who has a better advantage.
Yeah,
Because I can't really give it to Miami because they say they have like, the top 10 offense. Uh, but they also think Tua has only played like 2 games so far.
yeah.
Um,
Well, three with the
and
fourth quarter.
that doesn't count. That was like only
Okay,
one
thank
quarter. Uh, with what's his name? Fitzpatrick, the one which has been leading the charge and scoring at these points. So I can't really like 100% say who has the best chance. Um, to the yards right now, Los Angeles does put up a lot of yards and a good amount of points.
But how many
Too.
red zone?
How they score? I don't have that
Uh,
key different. Yeah, it only gives me points per game, points allowed, total yards, yards given up.
this is gonna be a high offensive game no matter what. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. Miami's defense is not that very good. They're ranked 22nd, while LA is actually 14th right now. So they have been uh, relatively good. But we also saw them trade away one of their cornerbacks right before the trade deadline.
yeah, I saw that too. I think okay. The reason I'm going with Miami is because Tua can use his feet. That's really what I'm going with offensively. Um, so that's why I'm going with the Dolphins on this one.
I'm gonna go Chargers.
Okay.
Herbert can also use his feet, but I think, but real reason is I think Justin Herbert has really figured out the offense with
Yeah.
the Chargers.
Also,
He has really clicked with the teammates and has been putting the ball into the perfect placement for his wide receivers.
mhm,
And I feel like this is the week that they will actually click and be able to ride pretty well. As I said, they've been in games all the way to the end.
mhm,
So I think this is the week that they'll be able to pull it through.
mhm. Then the next game later that afternoon is the Niners versus the Saints. I don't think we really need to talk much
No,
on that.
we both agreed. Uh,
Let's just say it one more time.
Saints,
Yeah, let's just say it one more time on three. One, two, three. Saints.
Saints.
All right. Last one is the Battle of the West. Well, the actual West is between Seahawks versus the Rams. It's a pretty good game, pretty even game. They're both pretty close at record wise. I think Seahawks are 7-2, and then Rams are like 6-2. I want to say.
6-2 Seahawks, 5-3 Rams.
Okay, so everyone just met at the halfway point of the game. So, um,
Yeah, this game is played in
L-
LA right now. The Rams are right now favored 1.5.
I don't know.
Which I'm kind of surprised of how many people are betting on the Rams. I don't know if they're thinking because they can see a pretty decent upset, but I'm leaning towards Seattle. I think Seattle, Russ is an MVP caliber player. The defense on the Seattle side has not been as good
No, 100.
as the past. They're right now ranked 32nd, so that's dead last in yards allowed.
Hmm. I think why the Rams are favored is mostly because of their pass.
Defense.
Yeah, no, 100%. Their pass rush. Um, obviously when you have Aaron Donald out there, and then I don't know who the other end is, but when you have Aaron Donald out there,
Aaron Donald again. That's all. He's in like three different spots at one time.
it kind of puts a little the pace goes faster, obviously for the quarterback is like you have to time everything right. But I think the one thing that cancels him out is his wide receivers, is Russ's wide receivers, um, because obviously I always harp on him, but I think DK is probably one of the best wide receivers within his class for the past 2 years. Um, I also think he's one of the best wide receivers in the league right now. But when it comes to this matchup, not entirely sure how um, the Seahawks play in warm-ish conditions. Um, wait, how much have they won on the road?
On the road, they are 2-2. Wow,
2-2.
did not see that.
Did they play the Bills away? I thought they played the Bills at home.
They played them away. They played them in Buffalo, and they also played Arizona away.
But that's in a dome. Um,
Yeah,
it's hard to say, honestly. I for
yeah. LA is right now 3-0 at home.
Mhm.
But they've lost some games that I feel like against 49ers, they lost pretty easily.
But that was in like what, the beginning of the season?
That was like 3 weeks ago. So
Where's the beginning of the
yeah,
season? Yeah.
beginning of the season.
Hmm. I don't know. I think I'm going with the Rams on this one. I
I'm
think
still sticking Seattle. I think Russ pulls it through
interesting.
against that defense. As we know, they're right now first in points per game, while LA is ranked towards the bottom.
Hmm.
Um, it's just pretty much a battle between Seattle's offense versus LA's defense. Who's going to come out on top?
Yeah, yeah. Because obviously Seahawks. I mean, even with Jamal Adams in the backfield, it doesn't help just how much their line can't rush as often as they should. You still have Bobby Wagner, right?
They do.
You still have Bobby Wagner in the middle, and then I don't know. I don't know what their weaknesses are, run wise and pass wise, but I can't see them winning this game after losing 2 out of the last 3 games, if I'm right. So they lost to Arizona. I think they won the next game, and then they lost to the Bills. So
Yes.
I think I'm gonna have to give it to LA, quite honestly.
All right. Well, they're both coming off losses, so it's going to be interesting to
Yeah,
see if these
interesting.
teams can bounce back.
Mhm. Now for some MLB news. Ex-Astros general manager Jeff Luhnow, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, sues the Astros, claims to be made of a scapegoat for sign stealing scandal. So he is suing from breach of contract because they let him go, and he's suing for $22 million in lost wages. Um, he is suing both Jim Crane and the MLB Commission for using him as a scapegoat and not paying him the $22 million on his contract that he still had. Uh, Saying he had no knowledge of the sign stealing, therefore used as a scapegoat in order to get a little bit of heat off of the Astros and for the MLB to kind of put this in their back burner. Only a plan between and it was only a plan between the coaches, owners, and players. Number one, do you believe this bullshit?
No.
Okay.
Do you? Even though you just called it bullshit?
No, but I do believe in breach of contracts. So if they're not paying, because it was only a suspension, right? They didn't technically fire him,
I think they did fire him after the suspension.
but
Like after he was served that suspension. Well, when he was given the suspension.
they fired him during his suspension. That's weird.
Uh, yeah, that's what they did with the head coaches.
Mm, but
They're not suspended from the team; they're suspended from the league. So
mm, mm. Yeah, so I believe in breach of contracts and how, like, if it says you're getting paid this much for a guaranteed amount per year, then I think he should be paid. But I don't believe the bullshit of the scapegoat story.
Yeah, he gotta know if there was something going on in that
Yeah,
stadium. If you're saying the owner knew and you didn't, that's some big
that,
BS right there. But also gotta look at the contract because some contracts do have clauses that
yeah,
state you won't be paid if any of this happens
yeah,
or if we cut ties here.
hmm,
So that's some things that the lawyers have to look at
yeah,
because if he's just doing now something he was told about had to been released or something
yeah,
because there's got to be something that was in his contract that he could sue, or something that in his contract that the team knew that they didn't have to give him any of the money.
hmm,
So I see this one's probably be uh, does not go into court. If it does, it's not going to long last. It'll probably be a settlement outside of court,
hmm.
but not for the 22 million that he was supposed to be paid. I'm going to say low millions.
I say at most 10 million. I don't see it going over double figure millions.
I don't ever see it going past 7,
That's
5 at most.
I mean,
But hey, these numbers probably never get released, so we could just
yeah.
make it whatever number we think it's going to
Well,
be.
he's going against the MLB commissioner too, so you know it's not going to court as fast as he wants it to. So, um, I had another question: should Lunho get his job back, being he was used as a scapegoat? Obviously, no. You were part of that organization, and you were dealt with accordingly. So there really is no debate there. But for Jim Crane, the owner of the Houston Astros, this is probably like the dumb person in me, but more so just illogical. Should he sell the team in hopes of number one, rebuilding his reputation, and number two, for the team rebuilding and not collapsing on itself?
No, I think he's a guy that's going to like keep the team like as a middle finger to the world, saying, "Hey, I own this team. We have the championship. You guys can't take it away from me.
Mm,
We're gonna come back even stronger than ever." As you've seen that, even though they were under 500 this year, they could be really good in the playoffs.
mm,
They have a star-loaded team out there. They may have a down year in the future with losing a couple draft picks,
mhm,
but if they have a really good development farm,
mhm,
um, they could come back stronger than ever almost.
mm,
It's going to be a while before anyone forgets or even forgets about the whole sign stealing and think of it just it as a memory.
mhm.
But I don't think he should or even thinks about selling the team.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It just came to my mind as like, what is a logical decision that the owner should do? Is like, you sell the team, do you keep the team because it's one of your revenue streams? Is what, like, what are your intentions? Is like, what should he do at this point? But keeping in the city of Houston, Chris brought this up to me yesterday. I read it, didn't think much of it. Russell Westbrook wants out of the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, this bit was pretty big news coming out last night, Wednesday, November 11th. That Russell Westbrook wants out. I'm gonna pull up the article right now really quickly.
So he wants out of Houston. James Harden had a reaction to it. Um, so did the front office. Firstly, for me, I think it's a good move, unselfish move for Russ, because I think he was brought there per D'Antoni and to kind of cope and mesh well with Harden, but obviously that didn't work well this season. What you got, Chris?
Yeah, so Westbrook told the team that he was uneasy about the accountability in the court chair and wants to be the floor general. So he was unhappy with how he was put into that team, how he was being used as the player. Because we knew that he was the number one guy in OKC for the past few years,
Mm-hmm.
but did not feel that he was that type of player in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Westbrook, let's see, Rose reported earlier yesterday saying that there was concerns about the direction of the franchise under the new head coach Stephen Silas and newly promoted manager Raphael Stone. Westbrook has informed the team that he has an uneasy about the team's accountability and culture and has a desire to return to his prior floor general role in OKC. So he probably was mad that he was not able to be that guy as he was in OKC. There's also some other stuff that's going on in that locker room. PJ Tucker is also irritated over his contract. Rivers is unhappy with his playing time, and Harden is not taking criticism. It just comes to key taglines from that article.
I mean, I understand contract-wise and playing time, but James, you are the poster boy of this team. You need to be taking criticism. The reason why you lost the last 5 seasons with them, and you made the playoffs, I want to say 3 times. It's not. It's definitely not Westbrook's fault. He just came into the team this year.
Yeah. The Athletic also reported that the former players of Houston has described that culture in Houston as problematic, highlighting a situation that caters from too much to that caters far too much for its stars.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't see Russell going into anywhere where a team is already established.
We already have some ideas for some trade talks. Uh, there's 3 teams that have lined up already. It looks like
Ooh,
for those. Number 1 is LA Clippers
Jesus Christ, that's so bad.
and New York Knicks.
That's even worse. And what was the third one?
I'm looking for that third one.
Is it Cleveland? Because
Detroit.
who's in Detroit? I have no idea.
Uh, Blake Griffin is out there, but the deal that Bleacher Reports suggests, like if Detroit is really serious, is Blake Griffin for Russell Westbrook and a 2021 second round pick. That's just what they're saying, that it would be an eco trade. So yeah, those are the 3 teams
that want him.
that they say that could be looking into it, and reportedly has made some talks.
Mhm.
Uh,
So for the LA Clippers, this is why it's problematic. They don't have a leadership role already. You add Russ into there, he's not going to be a leader. He wants the ball every single time. He's gonna go for he's gonna go get every rebound. He's gonna tell everyone get out of his way, and that really messes up the already placed chemistry between Kawhi, PG, and the rest of the player chart. So I don't see it working out there. The New York Knicks, there's no star there. And I think that's what Russ wants to be, is just be an all-star in on his own team. Um, and I don't know if young players with him would be very successful as well. This is why the trade for Blake Griffin for Russ doesn't work. If you're gonna give that up, you're still gonna be playing small. You're not gonna.
another team that has reported so you discuss Charlotte is also looking into him as a possible suitor.
So still with Blake Griffin, you're not gonna play him as center, because he can still move. So you're still gonna be playing small for no reason. Charlotte is a good place for him to go, maybe. Um, there's no all stars there. You're gonna be playing with your brand and your brand owner with Michael Jordan. The only thing is play style. They don't run the court as much. Miles Bridges, who is there, who came from Michigan State, is an all star in itself already. Um, I don't know. I can't, like, you need to have like a vet talk to him, like he's a grown man, and tell him, hey, you aren't the all star. You're gonna be a role player this entire time, and not this entire time, but you're gonna be a role player, but you're gonna all star when your time shines. Um, and
I don't know about that saying that, because he's been in the league for nearly a decade already.
9 years, I think. No, 10. No, 11.
So yeah, about a decade.
But for someone
Uh,
like LeBron to say that to him or CJ
yeah, but
say that to him,
that's the one type of players that needs to be targeted. That's if he's a the team of that. Russell Westbrook is that guy of his own will. Like we know that he wants to be that type of guy since the departure of Kevin Durant and that whole feud.
funny story,
Uh,
funny story. All-Star year, last year for Kobe playing. He couldn't beat, or no, I think it was 2014, when Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden made the All-Star team. He kind of mentally messed Westbrook up by saying that Kevin shouldn't be scoring or getting scoring titles that much, and you should. So that's what kind of broke the chemistry up in OKC, and I thought that was pretty funny.
who said this again?
Kobe.
Kobe. Man, you can't see ill about the dead. Damn.
Yeah. hmm
Damn,
Uh,
that's kind of a little messed up though.
I mean, it worked.
Like sure, like you know that he was a great player, but it did like change probably Westbrook's mindset. That was already
Yeah. 100%. That's why they couldn't beat OKC. So that's what he did. Mentally messed them up.
interesting.
hmm So what were you saying?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just trying to figure out other teams that are looking into him. So it's going to be a weird off season because we know we have a new start date with December 22nd. So we have a little over a month before the new season begins.
Literally.
Um,
Yeah.
the, Houston probably wants to trade him. At least wrestlers' agents are probably trying to work a deal as fast as possible to get him out of there if he's unpleased with that situation.
hmm
So probably see a trade within probably around draft day or
Yeah.
uh
That would be interesting.
because the draft is next Wednesday if I'm not wrong.
Let's look it up right now. The draft is next Wednesday. Ooh, could have talked about that today. And if and not NFL, NBA draft. It is
Oh,
next
do,
Wednesday.
do.
You are right. Next Wednesday.
Woo! What do I win?
You win a hand clap.
Yes, I always wanted one of those. So yeah, I could see him getting traded within the next week if teams are willing to trade draft picks beforehand. It's kind of weird that we're getting this trade now. Like this whole year has been weird in sports,
hmm
and in general. But in sports, like you have these weird now off-season times.
Yeah.
At least the NBA has. So I don't know when or if he's gonna be traded. He'll 100%. I'm gonna say get traded to where I don't know.
hmm
Uh, because we're right here at the draft time. I don't know if a team is willing to trade draft pieces right now.
Oh, everyone wants to
They're
draft.
probably looking into trading draft pieces for next year.
Yeah, most likely.
Uh,
Everyone
but
wants to use draft pieces, honestly.
yeah, so I don't know where he's going to end up going.
Mm.
Out of the teams that I listed that are possible suitors, what do you think his best option is, or the most likely option?
Look at
So
just look at free agency. Like try to find a way to. I don't remember when his contract is up, but trying to find a way to get out this year and get a guaranteed amount of money so that you get paid.
let's see, what's his contract like, Russell?
I think it's like 2 more years. I don't remember. He had a max like the last two contracts or like the last contract, I think. Um, I guess New York and Charlotte would be two landing areas for him. Um, yeah, that's really all I can. By the way, you spelled Albert wrong on Albert Pujols.
I know I did. I just was too lazy to fix it.
So
So he has 3 more years on his contract.
holy shit. I honestly don't know. Orlando Magic, even. I mean, places where there's no guard or guard presence. I don't know. That
Yeah,
good
and
for
he has
Russell.
a pretty big contract, so I don't know what it would take for teams to trade for him. So it's gonna be kind of weird to see where he goes or if he goes.
Yeah, I say stay 1 more year with Houston. I mean, even if you don't want to, stay 1 more year, get that contract under 2 years, and then try to find a trade for it. Because no one's gonna pay for 3 years for you right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So next week, guys, we have two special podcasts. So the first one we are reshooting with one of our bosses from Stanford, Tyler, that we lost the file for because it was corrupted. So we'll be shooting that on Monday, and then Thursday we're going to be shooting with a bunch of our friends, and we're going to be talking about baseball, and that's Chris's first led podcast by himself. Chris, give a little bit of summary of what you're going to be asking our guests.
So we're gonna have a bunch of people that have been playing baseball all their lives, or have been covering baseball for quite numerous amount of years. I'm gonna get their topics on a couple of big things that have happened over the season. Um, Talk about the Dodgers winning the championship, and we'll talk about what happened this week with the awards. See if they all agree with the Baseball Writers Association, if they picked the right player for these awards, and some of the hot stove questions coming off this upcoming offseason with where some of these key free agents go. That list includes a couple of big names. We got um, our
Not spoiler.
previous Cy Young. They know who some of the players are.
Yeah, but
I was just giving them one name. Cy Young Award winning Trevor Bauer's upcoming free agency, and let's see. We're going to discuss where he might end up next season and what team he's going to have on his chest come in April.
Thanks, Chris. I'm kind of excited to see you take the reins for one of many podcasts that we'll hopefully be doing. You have anything else to say for this podcast, or?
No, just remember, guys, to like, subscribe, and comment with your favorite articles that you want us to read.
Also, push the post notification button so you get updates on our videos that come out. Now, we're going to be posting Tuesdays and Fridays. Tuesdays are going to be for the weekend news. Fridays are going to be throughout the week news. With that being said, guys, see you guys next time.
Watching a master at work.